Lego Jurassic World is the latest movie-based game from the Lego franchise, standing aside the likes of Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and numerous other iconic movies. Lego Jurassic World follows the 4 Jurassic Park titles: Jurassic Park, The Lost World, Jurassic Park 3, and finally Jurassic World. Essentially, that's 4 separate games in one, each park or title its own story reflecting its film's counterpart. The layout is designed for a player to choose either going straight into the Jurassic World story and experiencing what the new movie may be like prior or post-seeing it, or starting your adventure from the origin of the series of films. Story. The story for the most part revolves around made-up levels or interpretations of the environment that the character from the movie are placed in from scene to scene. So most of the game is just playing as those characters going from one scene to the next. Most of the scenes are the iconic scenes from the movies, which are just used as beats to move the story along. Instead of copying these scenes exactly, the animators make subtle changes to them to include some joke or physical slapstick comedy to make the player laugh. Most of which are usually cheap and humorless for anyone above the age of 12. Unless you find the poor attempts at comedy funny like I did. Not all the jokes were bad, but playing a game for about 5 hours and having to endure such attempts over and over again became stale and a little frustrating. The biggest drawback to the story is that it lacked the polish and finish of previous Lego titles. After the first 2 Jurassic stories, the pacing started to feel rushed and unrefined. Multiple audio clips from the different scenes in the movie were edited down into one animated cutscene in an attempt to cram as much information in as possible while cutting back on explanation time. That just didn't really make sense to me if you were a fan of the films. Because each film is condensed into a certain number of stages, large portions of the plot are left out in order to make room for more action. The absolute worst offense was that in the game version of Jurassic World, creative liberties were taken where the Lego developers seemingly decided to ignore great reference material in the movie and decided to say, hey, instead of this happening, why don't we throw in a joke or make a dinosaur or character do something completely different from what happened in the movie. Some of the events that happened in the movie were changed in the game, making anyone who has seen the movie before playing the game question just why would they change something so much from the original. Some scenes were skipped altogether, which took a lot away from the context of the story. Graphics. What can I say? It's a Lego game. It's not like they are trying to go for any hyper-realism or anything. It's not The Witcher 3 or Minecraft with HD texture packs. It's just Legos, and pretty much what you are used to from any Legos game in the series so far, no matter what platform you play it on. Gameplay. Gameplay for the most part is just stale and repetitive. For example, there's a sick dinosaur. Find things it shouldn't eat like ice cream, chocolate, other things. Feed it. It gets better. Now use said dinosaur to ram into a rock that was blocking the way. Or flip this switch at the other end of the level, but break and build things to get past obstacles that are in your way. Every single Jurassic title in the game was the exact same gameplay over and over again. Other than playing as a human character, you can also play as a dinosaur at certain parts of the story and in free roam, usually to unlock a path or destroy some object to get a collectible, which was fun for the first 2 or 3 times I did it. That too became old really fast, especially seeing how playing as a dino doesn't do anything for the story unless you are playing Jurassic World, in which you play as Blue the Raptor. Turning into a dino co-star moments was so few and far in between, I wondered why even have it in the main story at all. In free roam, it's literally cluttered with Lego tabs to pick up, mini games to play, things to interact with, most of which I found very distracting. It was too easy to get lost along the way to the next main story mission. For kids with siblings or friends, this would easily bring them enjoyment because of the numerous things you can do when not going through the story. But for me, I found all the things on screen unnecessary and a hassling reminder of just how much crap I would have to come back to do just to get a 100% completion rate. Controls. The controls felt cumbersome at times. There were more than a few times where characters did not interact well with the environment or objects, either by falling off a log or a path, or not being able to land on a platform after rope jumping and not being able to adjust the camera to make a better attempt at landing on said platform. What I hated the most was the interact and the ability button was the same button. Why? If there are 8 buttons and 4 directional buttons on the controller, 5 character moves, why double up on one button? Switching between these actions, the player has to either tap O or hold O, and many times the game could not decipher exactly what I wanted to do. I can't tell you how many times I went to an object that had the O icon on it just to almost get fed up and turn the game off. The camera was extremely hard to maneuver. The detection boxes on some of the obstacles and paths were shoddy to say the least. There were some parts where the reticle didn't even show up for the interactive objects unless my character was standing in just the right spot. Also, the further into the game, the more little bugs and glitches started to show up. The biggest is for player 2 if you're playing co-op. If player 2 activates a QuickTime event, the button prompts wouldn't even show up. So you would either have to stop the level and start over, making sure player 1 is doing the sequence, or actually guess which buttons to press at the exact right time to complete the scene, which a friend and I actually did at one moment. Sound and music. There are a few audio bites from the movie that play as you progress through the level, which the player either gets to at a certain point or performs some action like building something out of Legos to reach an objective. Most of the dialogue you hear is ripped straight from the movie and placed into the animated Lego cutscene from the respective parts in whichever JP game you are playing. As for the music, the original scores from each respective film were added to the game. While playing in the free roam, you hear a few iterations of similar sounding Jurassic songs that blended well with the experience as to not make you feel like you're hearing the same song over and over again. In short, the music was just as good as it's always been. What I loved. Number 1, you pretty much had 4 games for the price of 1. 2, Jurassic Park and The Lost World, just the 2, were almost identical to the movies and did them justice in gameplay and storytelling. 3, playing as dinosaurs was a surprising and fun experience. 4, collecting golden tabs to fill the gold progression bar to hear the soundbite of the original theme song was just as addictive and rewarding as any other Lego game in the series. 5, a small amount of the jokes and slapstick comedy was actually funny. What I hated. 1, glitchy gameplay and prompts that wouldn't show up. 2, messed up story when you compare it to the movies that they were based off of. 3, not as fun or as polished as other Lego games. 4, some of the comedy was cheesier than previous games. 5, the game does not translate well for players above a certain age bracket. 6, poor hit detection. 7, character ability shares button with interact action. Is it worth the money? I don't give number ratings because I think they're worthless, so I just ask myself, is it worth the money? As for Lego Jurassic World, anyone above the age of 13 looking for an engaging story and great entertainment, no, it's not worth $60 for all the repetitive, buggy gameplay and the crushing of your memories that these once great movies bestowed upon you. Get it when the price drops or get it used at a retailer. If you have kids who are under the age of 13, $60 may be worth the price of relative quietness or at least sitting down and being engaged for an hour or 2 at a time. Final verdict. On a scale of take it back to buy it now, rent it. I hope you found the review helpful. Please consider subscribing for more reviews and game walkthroughs in the future. I usually post daily content so that there's always something to check out on my channel. I will catch you guys next time. Have a great day and peace out, y'all.